The manhwa starts where we see what happened 5 years ago. We see a couple laying on a bed where a man is on top of a lady and stating to her that she barged into his exclusive lounge. He adds that she has a lot of guts. As the lady is blushing, she is telling the man to stop squeezing her breasts. However, the man ignores her and mentions to her that from now, he wants her to be his woman. We are then back in the present, and we see that the lady has woken up from a dream and is startled. She also sighs and realizes for herself that she was just dreaming. Suddenly, her daughter asks her if she was having a nightmare again. Her son also states to her to not be afraid. Upon hearing these statements, the lady hugs her children and tells them that with them two by her side, she won't be afraid. She also decides that as soon as she arrives back home, she'll take back the entire legacy that was left behind by her mother and grandfather. We then transition to the next scene where we see the family walking outside. As they are walking outside, random strangers are amazed by the family since they are so good-looking, and they wonder if they're celebrities. They also think that the two kids are so cute. Meanwhile, the lady mentions to her son that they'll go eat some dinner first. Then, they'll go where Rosa's competition is being held. All of a sudden, the lady hears a loud noise and notices a small child on the ground. The random strangers also yell out that a kid fainted, and they wonder if the child suffers from any congenital disease. Suddenly, the father of the child holds up the boy and starts screaming at his bodyguards. He adds that he told them to bring Oscar's medicine along with them. Oscar then states to his father that he doesn't feel so good. Upon hearing this statement, the child's father commands his bodyguards to get the car ready and that they're going to the hospital immediately. The bodyguards agree with this request. Suddenly, the lady approaches Oscar and starts to analyze him. As she's analyzing the child, she realizes that his symptoms look like they're caused by the same allergy that her son named Matthew suffers from. The lady then shouts out to the man to wait. The man turns around upon hearing the lady shouting out to wait. Once they are both facing each other, they both realize that they somehow know each other. The lady then tells the man that her son suffers from the same allergy as his son. She adds that this is his anti-allergy medicine, and to see if it's the same kind that his son usually takes. The lady further gives the man the anti-allergy medicine. The man takes it and starts to stare at it to see if it's the same one. Once he realizes that it's the same medicine, he requests the lady to give his son 2 of the pills from it. The lady agrees and starts to give Oscar 2 pills from the anti-allergy medicine. She also mentions to Oscar to open his mouth and take these pills. Oscar listens to the lady and opens his mouth to take the medicine. As he's eating the medicine, the lady starts thinking about how Oscar's such a cute kid. She also thinks that he looks about the same age as her son Matthew and daughter Rosa. After 10 minutes, Oscar states to his father that he feels much better now. Upon hearing this statement, the man tells the lady that he has to take his child to the hospital. He also requests her to come with him and that he'll give her a big thank you gift later. The lady mentions to the man that she can't as she has other plans. Suddenly, Oscar grabs the lady's sleeve. This action makes the lady look at Oscar, and she realizes that his expression is so similar to Matthew. Upon noticing this, she agrees with the man to go with him to the hospital. Oscar also states to the lady that she's so nice. He adds that he wishes she was his mom. We then switch to the next scene, where we see that the bodyguards have brought the car as the man requested them to. The man also requests the lady to get in the car and help him take care of his son. The lady tells the man that she has 2 kids, so she might not be able to. Upon hearing this statement, Matthew reassures his mother that they're fine and that Oscar isn't feeling well, so she should take care of him first. Rosa also reassures her mother that she doesn't need to worry since her brother and her are fine. The man thanks the children for lending them their mother. This statement makes the lady believe that the man isn't as cold and aloof as he seems. She also believes that the man likes children as well, just like her. We then move to the next scene where we see everyone in the car and they're driving to the hospital. As they are driving to the hospital, the lady starts to stare at Oscar and feels sorry for him since he's so sick. Rosa then asks her mother about if Oscar fell asleep. The lady agrees with her daughter and mentions to her that Oscar is sick and needs some good rest. Matthew also states to his mother that Oscar looks so much like her and Rosa. This statement slightly surprises the lady. She also starts thinking about how her son is right and believes that it might be just a coincidence. Meanwhile, as the man is driving the car, he starts to wonder why the woman looks so familiar to him and why does his son Oscar look like her. We then move to the next scene where we see that they have finally arrived at the hospital. Once inside the hospital, the doctor says to the man, "Fortunately, Mr. Oscar took some medicine right away. He is a bit weak right now, though he should be fine after he gets some good rest." Meanwhile, Oscar is calling out for his mother in his sleep. The man then asks one of his bodyguards about if Scarlett has arrived yet. Upon hearing this question, the lady becomes shocked and starts to wonder how the man knows Scarlett. She also wonders what is the relationship between him and her. Suddenly, Scarlett barges into the hospital room and questions the man about if Oscar is all right. We also learn that the man's name is William. Scarlett further states to William that there was a traffic jam, so she got out of the car and ran over here. William tells Scarlett that the doctor just checked Oscar and said he should be fine soon. Scarlett takes a breath of fresh relief upon hearing this statement and mentions to William that she's glad to hear that. All of a sudden, Scarlett turns and looks at the lady. This makes her scared and worried. She also asks the lady about what is she doing here and how is she not dead. The lady states to Scarlett that she seems disappointed to see her. She also questions Scarlett about if she did something to her back then. Scarlett tells the lady that she doesn't know what she's talking about. She adds that she just disappeared completely, so of course they assumed that she was dead. Scarlett also decides to stay calm and to stop the lady from forming any connection with William. Meanwhile, the lady clenches her fists and starts to wonder about if her father thinks that she's dead too. William then asks both of the women about if they know each other. Scarlett replies, "William, she is my father's other daughter, Leah. Some years ago she left home, pregnant without being married. We looked for her for a long time, but couldn't find her." Upon hearing this statement, William starts thinking about how Leah had such a good reputation back then too. He also wonders why she did something like that. William further realizes that his son Oscar is the child of both of these women. All of a sudden, Matthew mentions to Scarlett that his mother isn't like that and that she's a bad woman. He adds that he won't let her slander his mother. Upon hearing this statement, Scarlett asks Leah about how could she claim that she didn't elope. She also questions her about what about these two children. She adds that her son is talking to her with no manners whatsoever and how that's so rude. These statements cause Oscar to wake up from his sleep and to sit up. Once he sits up on his bed, he states to Scarlett that she shouldn't slander the lady and her children. He adds that she's the one with no manners. Upon hearing this statement, Matthew realizes that Oscar is so nice. They also establish a friendship because of this incident. Leah then tells Matthew that he shouldn't talk to bad people. She also asks him about if he forgot what she taught him. The lady further mentions to William that since there seems to be nothing else, she should be on her way now. Leah then states to Scarlett to tell her mother that sooner or later she'll take back what belongs to her, and that she'd better be ready for it. Upon hearing this statement, Scarlett starts to wonder about who does Leah think she is, which makes her talk to her like that. Scarlett then tells William that her mom and dad were looking for Leah for such a long time. But instead of being grateful, Leah says words like that. Scarlett adds that it makes her feel so sad. This statement makes William think about how Scarlett has a point. He also is aware that Leah doesn't refute this. William further wonders if this could be true. Suddenly, Oscar gets out of bed and asks Leah if she can stay. He also starts to hug Leah's leg and mentions to her that he doesn't want her to leave. Upon hearing this statement, Leah starts thinking about how whatever conflicts the adults might have, the children are still innocent. Leah then pats Oscar on the head and states to him that she has something to do right now. She adds that she'll come see him some other time. Scarlett also shouts at Oscar and tells him that she is his mother. However, Oscar disagrees with her and mentions to her that he doesn't want her to be his mother and that he hates her. This statement makes Leah start thinking about how kids are very sensitive. She also wonders that since Oscar hates Scarlett so much, does that mean she did something bad to him? All of a sudden, Scarlett yanks Oscar by his hand to stop him from hugging Leah's leg. She also questions Oscar about what is he talking about. She adds that she loves him so much and asks him about how could he hate her. Scarlett further pinches Oscar's chest in anger. As she's pinching him, she calls Oscar a stupid kid in her head and starts thinking about how he embarrassed her in front of William. She also hopes that Oscar cries so hard that he faints. Meanwhile, Leah notices Scarlett putting her hand on Oscar's waist and starts to wonder why she is doing this. Scarlett then holds on to Oscar. However, Oscar doesn't like this and starts to hit Scarlett. He also shouts at her to let go of him. Upon noticing this, Leah yells at Scarlett and questions her about what is she doing. Meanwhile, Scarlett starts thinking about how Leah came just in time. She also believes that since William will believe that Leah hurt Oscar, he'll never forgive her. As Oscar's crying, Scarlett then loosens her grip on him to hand him over to Leah. Leah quickly grabs Oscar before he falls on the ground and starts to calm him down. She tells him to be a good boy and reassures him that it's all right. Leah further starts thinking about how this is their family business, so she can't meddle. However, she feels bad for Oscar since he's suffering. Once Oscar calms down, Scarlett kisses her teeth and believes that Leah is so lucky. Leah then asks William about what's wrong with him. She also questions him about how does he not care that his son is crying like this. Leah further states to Oscar that he's a good boy and that everything's all right now. She adds that he shouldn't cry. As Oscar slowly stops to cry, Leah starts thinking about how William is in a relationship with Scarlett. Because of this, she starts to believe that William is probably not very nice either. Meanwhile, William starts thinking about how it was Scarlett who hurt his child, and how he didn't even have time to get angry. William further wonders how can Leah even blame him for this. William then states to Scarlett that he doesn't care about any grudges between the two of them, but if she hurts his child, he won't go easy on her. This causes Scarlett to start trembling. She also apologizes to William and tells him that she was feeling too anxious just now. Scarlett further mentions to Oscar that she hurt him just now, but it was just by accident, so he shouldn't be mad at her. However, Oscar disagrees with Scarlett and turns around abruptly. This causes William to frown, and he states to Scarlett that since Oscar doesn't want to see her now, she should head back now. Upon hearing this statement, Scarlett confirms with William that if even her, Oscar's real mother, should be leaving, then Leah, who's just an outsider, shouldn't stay here either. William tells Scarlett that this isn't her concern and to mind her own business. He also commands one of his butlers to see Scarlett off. The butler agrees with William and starts to see her off. As Scarlett is leaving with the butler, she agrees with William and mentions to him that she'll be leaving now. She adds that she'll come see Oscar another time when he's in a better mood. Scarlett then slams the door shut and leaves. Once Scarlett is gone, Matthew starts thinking about how that bad woman is finally gone. Meanwhile, Rosa starts thinking about how William is so amazing. Leah then sits Oscar down on the bed and states to him that he has only just recovered a little bit, so he shouldn't run around anymore. Upon hearing this statement, Oscar agrees with Leah. Meanwhile, William starts thinking about how it's rare to see Oscar like a woman so much. He also starts thinking about how maybe he should have Leah stay with him and take care of Oscar for a while. Rosa then tells her mother that it's almost time for her competition. This statement shocks Leah and makes her panic a little. She also wonders how could she have forgotten about that. Leah further mentions to William that she has to go now. As Leah starts walking away and leaving, William looks back at her. He then grabs her hand to stop her from leaving. This action surprises Leah and catches her off guard. William further questions Leah about where's the competition taking place. He adds that he'll drive her there. This statement makes Leah hesitate. Meanwhile, Rosa states to William that it's at the Grand Theater in downtown. She also thanks him. Oscar then tells his father that he should drive them there. He also reassures his father that he's fine now. Upon hearing this statement, William turns to look at his son and mentions to him that he understands. He adds that he'll have the bodyguard and butler watch over him and that he should call him if he needs him for anything. William further wonders when did his son Oscar become so understanding. We then transition to the next scene where we see that Leah and her kids are being dropped off by William. However, they are stuck in some heavy traffic. Upon Leah noticing the traffic, she states to William that in 10 minutes they'll stop letting people in and that they'll need time to park the car and walk over there. She adds that she doesn't think they can make it. Upon hearing this statement, William gets out of the car and tells Leah that he will take Rosa to the venue. He adds that she should stay in the car with Matthew. This statement shocks Leah. William further puts Rosa on her shoulders and starts running to the venue with her. As they are running, Rosa becomes amazed and mentions to William that he's running so fast. Meanwhile, Leah calls out to them and is shocked at what she's seeing. Matthew then starts to feel envious of his sister Rosa and asks his mother about if they had a dad. Would he have been like that? We then switch to the next scene where we see Scarlett being careful and heading to Oscar's room. Now that she's aware that everyone is gone, she decides to quickly go into Oscar's room to see him. Once she's inside Oscar's room, she notices that he's alone and sleeping. Scarlett then gets close to Oscar and starts to feed him something. As she's feeding him, she starts thinking about how only after something bad happens to Oscar, then she'll get the opportunity to get close to William. Scarlett also believes that her happiness depends on Oscar. We then move to the next scene where we see what's happening at the Grand Theater. Inside the theater, we see that Leah and Matthew have just arrived and are rushing inside. William notices them and calls them over to sit beside him. Once they get close to William, Leah questions William about if Rosa is getting ready. She adds that she'll go see her. William states to Leah that Rosa will be on stage soon. He adds that she should sit down and watch her performance. Upon hearing this statement, Leah agrees with William and sits down. As she's sitting down, she starts thinking about how even though William is so macho, he's also super meticulous and arranged everything in such a short time. Suddenly, Rosa comes on stage and starts to sing in front of the audience and the judges. As she is performing, one of the judges tells the other judge that Rosa's voice is clear and her breath is strong and long-lasting. He adds that it's been a long time since he has seen such an amazing child. William also mentions to Leah that her daughter Rosa is very talented. He also asks her if she has thought of finding a professional teacher for her. Leah shakes her head in agreement and states to William that Rosa had her first teacher when she was abroad, but she doesn't want her to get exhausted and spend her whole childhood on that. She adds that once Rosa is a little older, she will let her make her own choice. Once Rosa finishes her performance, she bows in front of everyone and tells the judges that this is the end of her performance. The judges and audience get out of their seat upon hearing this statement and start to cheer for Rosa. We then move to the next scene where we see Rosa backstage, entering into her room. Once she walks inside, she notices her mother and runs to her to hug her. As she's hugging her mother, she asks her and Matthew about if they heard her singing. Leah mentions to her daughter that they did. Matthew also pats Rosa on the head and explains to her about how William took him and their mother to watch her performance from the VIP seats. He also praises Rosa on her performance. Leah then holds onto both of her children and states to them that they haven't said thank you to William yet. We then transition to the next scene where we see that everyone is back at the hospital inside Oscar's room and are staring at Scarlett. William further becomes furious with Scarlett and asks her if she fed their son seafood porridge. He also questions her about if she even knows that Oscar's allergic to seafood. Upon hearing these questions, Scarlett pretends to be calm and states to William that she wasn't even there this afternoon. She also asks him about how could she have fed him porridge. She adds that kids love to lie and that Oscar only said this because he wants to drive her away. We then see the past, where we see that Matthew and Rosa thanked William. Upon hearing this statement, William thanked the children. Suddenly, William started to receive a phone call. As William started to pick up the phone call, he excused himself and told everyone that he has to take this call. As he took the phone call, he asked the other person on the line about what did he just say and if Oscar got food poisoning. Meanwhile, Leah became slightly surprised upon hearing these questions. She then got up and questioned William about what's wrong and if Oscar is all right. William mentioned to Leah that after an allergic reaction, Oscar now has food poisoning, so he's in emergency care right now. He added that the doctor said it's a tricky situation. William further stated to Leah that he has to go to the hospital right away. Upon hearing this statement, Leah told William that she will go with him as she might be able to help. She also felt bad for Oscar and thought about how, if something bad happened to him, then she would feel truly heartbroken. William then thanked Leah, and they started to head towards the hospital. Once they made it to the hospital, they started walking through the hospital corridor to make it to Oscar's room. William then opened the door to Oscar's room and entered into the room. As he entered the room, Scarlett yelled out to William and was glad that he's finally here. She also mentioned to him to save Oscar. Upon hearing this statement, William screamed at his butler and bodyguards and called them idiots. He also stated to them that if Western medicine won't work, then try Chinese medicine. He further told them to get the doctors from the Chinese medicine department in here immediately. Meanwhile, Leah listened to all of this behind William. She then mentioned to William that she has studied acupuncture and has treated sicknesses before. She also stated to him to let her try. Upon hearing this statement, William agreed with Leah to allow her to take a look and to try to recover Oscar. He also wondered if there is anything that Leah doesn't know how to do. Meanwhile, Scarlett told William that Leah doesn't know anything about medicine. She also asked him about how can he let Leah touch Oscar. She further questioned William about what if something bad happens to him. Upon hearing these questions, Leah replied, "How would you know what I've learned abroad these past few years? The child can't afford to wait. If you really care about him, then get out of my way." Scarlett's questions also displeased William and made him slightly angry. He also asked his butler about why is Scarlett back here again. The butler told William that since Scarlett heard about Oscar's condition, she insisted on taking care of him personally. Scarlett further mentioned to William that she was worried about Oscar, so she came here to see him. She added that she didn't expect him to get food poisoning. Upon hearing these statements, William became serious and stated to Scarlett that if she wants to cry, then do it outside. He also added not to interfere with Oscar's treatment here. This statement silenced Scarlett immediately. She was also shocked.
Please make sure to subscribe. Special thanks to all of my Patreon members. Why not watch another manhwa recap on my channel by clicking on this video right here?